Hi, good afternoon, and a warm welcome to today's Q&A session on our online part-time courses in data analytics and social statistics at the postgraduate level. I'm Rebecca, your course advisor, dedicated to guiding you through the application process. Assisting me here today on the chat is Phoebe. Thanks very much. And we encourage you to share your queries there, and we'll strive to provide some comprehensive answers. Today's session will include a brief presentation featuring slides that may preemptively address some of your queries. Following the presentation, we'll focus on responding to your questions and those sent in. For those of you tuning in via our YouTube channel, or if you have any additional questions post-session, please feel free to reach out to us on studyonline@manchester.ac.uk. We appreciate your time today, and a special note of gratitude to Alexandru Cernat for joining us today, and to all of you, our prospective data analytics and social statistics students. So here's the entry criteria, but of note is that professional experience is a valuable asset and will be taken into consideration. Approval may be granted if you can provide evidence of postgraduate study, research, or relevant professional experience. The admissions team advise us here that can ensure you upload all the documents that requested to facilitate a smoother admissions process and enable them to come to a decision quickly. So over to you, Alexandru, who's going to talk over the course structure.
Hello, welcome everyone. So we developed this course based on our experience. So we have another face-to-face masters we've been teaching for a long time now, and we developed all new content for distance learning. And we try to get some of the expertise we had before, and also to incorporate some of the new techniques and new methods that have appeared in the last years. So the course is set up, we have 5 core units that are mandatory, and then there you can choose one optional unit. Currently we have 2 options. In the future we might increase that. So there'll be a part where you have to go and do each of these core units, and there's an option. At the end, there's also another module called Research Skills in Practice. So this prepares you for the dissertation if you plan to take one. And if you do the full master's and do a dissertation as well, you'll have an advisor. You can work on your own project, and you can write up a research paper that will be your dissertation. The modules are set up so you take them in a sequence. So each one has around 8 weeks, and they're built on each other. So you go one after another, and it takes around 2.5 years to go through all of these modules and do the dissertation. We estimate that it takes around 20 hours per week to do to prepare for each module, but that varies a little bit based on your skills and also on the content for each week. So if we are to look at the content, the idea of this program is to combine programming skills, statistics skills, and communication skills. So trying to present results. So we start, the first module focuses on learning how to do statistical programming using R, which is a free software that is very popular in programming and in statistics and data science. So you're going to learn how to prepare data, how to visualize it, how to do more advanced programming with it as well. Then we'll cover the basic statistical modeling, so things like means, standard deviation, statistical tests, to more advanced things like regression. Then we'll discuss a little bit about data collection. So one of the big expertise for our department is that we have experts in data collection. So we understand how data is collected, both kind of traditional methods like surveys and newer forms of data like social media data, sensor data, and so on. So the third module discusses how we collect data, how we can make sure that has the highest quality possible. Then the fourth module discusses about newer statistical models like machine learning models and models we can use for prediction. So there you have some of the popular techniques that are currently used in data science modeling. Then the final mandatory course is multi-level model and longitudinal analysis. So this is a useful module that covers analysis for more complex data. So when you have data from, for example, from multiple countries or of students within classrooms, so we call that multi-level data. Or if you have longitudinal data, so multiple observations from the same individuals, we discuss how we can analyze this kind of data and get insights from it. And then the two optional modules currently available are demographic forecasting, where we have an expert in our department who teaches how to do this kind of modeling to look at population change and make estimates of that. And the other module is structure equation modeling, which is a technique that is useful for looking at kind of causal relationship and more complex models. And the last module I mentioned, this is the preparation for the dissertation, research skills and practice. So that covers things like, how to develop pretty good research questions, how to do literature review, and so on.
Thank you very much, Alex. I think it's back over to me. So I've added some resources here for you to watch back, particularly the 17th of April webinar, where you may find some answers to questions, and also more content on our YouTube channel. But studying online doesn't mean studying alone. You'll have access to the Student Experience Coordinator from the start, who is the first point of contact to help you with any non-academic related matters, such as study plans, access to university systems, and any more specialist support services. You can also expect to receive academic support from the unit leads, and you'll have access to the career service for up to 2 years post-study, and they can help things with CV checks, practice interviews, and one-on-one appointments. So once you are in receipt of an offer, you can come to me and then I'll help you guide you through the process. But once you do have an offer and you're accepted to study with us, the specialised finance team are available at tuitionfees@manchester.ac.uk to draw up payment plans required to complete student registration. We also have a new finance resource to support with this aspect, and we'll put it in the chat. Thanks, Phoebe. Yeah, put that link in the chat. It's a new one with demo in it, so please, if you have any feedback, let us know. But yeah, you can have a look around in your own time. So I've added some next steps here and key dates as we're approaching the application deadline. If you've already secured an unconditional and accepted, then you will be receiving a welcome email from the admissions team soon with instructions. And that'll tell you how to activate your IT account and then log into the Manchester portal where you'll be given access to student resources. So that's it. That's that bit over with. I will stop sharing my screen. But as you can see, if there's any induction queries, you can contact worldwideapplications@manchester.ac.uk. For anything else, come through to us at Study Online. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I can't see any at the moment, so we will go to the pre-submitted questions, and then if we don't answer your question, please get in touch in the chat, or you can turn your screen on if you like. So we do have some questions about paying. We do have some finance questions. We'll hold them to the end, and I should be able to cover them quite quickly. But the more course-specific ones for Alexandru, for your time, some of the questions were, one of them is, being a quantitative course, my concern is related to the level of maths required for this programme. Can you alleviate some concerns there?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so basically in this course, we start from the basics. So you saw that we start with programming, and we don't assume you know any programming. We teach you from the beginning how to do that. And then the second course, we go from the beginning, the basic concepts from statistics, and then we build up on that. So I would say, as long as you are not very anxious and you're willing to learn, then I think we have all the materials that you need in order to build those skills. If you're concerned, I would also recommend maybe to do some reading in advance. So that will make you a little more confident, and it will be less overwhelming when you start the program. And I think if you contact us, we have some recommended readings both for programming and statistics, so you can have a look at that. The other thing I would say, there's also resources. So if you get stuck, you can talk to a professor. We have a help desk as well. So I think there are resources that can help you if you find this difficult. So the main thing is, I would say, if you're not anxious, and you're not afraid of statistics and maths, then I think you can learn. We have it paced in such a way that you can go from very little knowledge of statistics and math to doing more advanced models. I would say, the difficulty would depend on your current level. So that's why it's good to do some preparation before. If you're not confident, just it will be less overwhelming when we start.
Thank you. How does the program link to business analytics?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because different fields have their own kind of version of analytics. I would say there are some core things that are true for every field. So regardless of where you're going to apply, what you're going to learn here, there are some common skills, and those are the ones that we cover in this course. So wherever you want to apply data science or statistics, you'll need to know statistical programming, because that's how you get insight from the data, that's how you interact with data, and that's why we cover this in the course. Also, the statistical models that are used for the most part are the same in all the different fields. They might be applied in a slightly different way, but they're the same kind of models that you'll see in business analytics as in other fields as well. So I think in this program we cover the main types of statistical models that you're going to use. We cover one of the most popular statistical programming software. And then another kind of interesting thing about this program, a lot of the assignments are very applied, and you can choose the topic. So if you want, for example, to apply the techniques you learn to business analytics, that's fine. You can do that, and then you'll get feedback on that in the evaluation. So I don't think there's a contradiction. I think business analytics is just one of the fields where you can apply the techniques you learn in this program.
Oh, it sounds so good. Thank you. And Julia, yes, I can see you got an unconditional offer. Amazing. I believe that's very recently as well. So I've noted your name, I'll noted you down, and I'll follow up with admissions, but I do believe you'll be receiving the welcome email soon with a full guide of those instructions. But anybody else, you let me know. I'll put you on the list and then follow up with admissions for that. Next one, what kind of class schedule for this course, and what kind of assignments are mostly delivered? Oh, yeah, I'd like to know what an example of the assignments that they can expect.
Yeah, so a little bit about how the course is organized. So most of the courses are organized in a similar way, although the content is different and kind of each lecturer designed the module slightly differently. The idea is to have some content that is asynchronous. So this will be text, video, reading, some interactive activities. So most of the things you can do in your own time. Then each week we have a synchronous meeting. And that typically is somewhere in the middle of the day, because we have students from all over the world. And there you will meet the lecturer. So each week you can meet the lecturer, you can discuss what questions you have, and just meet the other students and so on. So there's a big chunk which is asynchronous, you can do in your own pace. There's this synchronous meeting every week with the professor. So most modules have this kind of structure. And then we have lots of assignments. So there are some assignments that are not graded. So we have quizzes after each week to help you see what you understand, what you didn't, and get feedback on that. And then we have some assignments that are graded. So to give you an example, for the programming course, the first one, you'll do a kind of visualization report. So you'll learn, you'll play with some data, and based on how you learn to do visualization, you'll write a report about it. In other courses, you'll need to write a research paper, so you need to apply the statistical methods you learn to whatever data you want and get insight from it. In other places, you might need to criticize a paper or something that was published to see what are the limitations, or you might, in the survey course, you might need to propose a design for data collection. So it really, it depends, but mostly research papers. You have quizzes that some are graded, some are not graded. There are some where you have to do presentations, like demographic forecasting. I think you might need to do a presentation there, but mostly research papers, research notes, and really we try to cover the assignments to cover the skills we think you need in the real world.
Thank you. I think that sounds really interesting about designing their own method of collecting the data as well. So amazing. And it's a similar question about how flexible the program is. I've had a further question below as well about that. And the course, the masters, I think because of the final research project timing, the dates for that, they do say for the masters it takes 27 months minimum to complete. But there is the option to, if you want to pause your studies, get in touch with the study advisor, and you're more than it's more than easy to do that. There is a 5-year maximum allowance for the study duration. And if you do pause, then you would pick up with the units in the schedule, which you'll find on the brochure. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's some more questions in the chat.
Oh, let's go to them. Okay, so Sarah, yeah, will we be expected to attend morning lectures live, or can we watch the recorded lectures back?
So like I said, most of the content is recorded, so you can watch it whenever you want. You can pause it, go faster or slower, whatever you need. There are transcripts, so I think most of the content, you can look at it in your own pace. We only have this live meeting, which is 1 hour with the lecturer each week, and that's not really a lecture. That's more like a lab, like an opportunity for you to talk to the professor, get feedback, do little exercises, talk to your colleagues. So all the lectures are recorded, and you can think of the live session more like a seminar or a discussion that you have with your colleagues and with the professor. So you can comfortably cover most of the content in your own pace wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, John, I am hoping that might answer your question about the timings for the synchronous sessions. Will that be available? So I believe that is something that's arranged at the start of each course unit. Alexandru?
Yeah. So each professor, because we teach multiple things, each professor will decide on time, and that will be made available. So each course has some key dates. So when you log in, you'll see the key dates, and it will say, okay, these are when we meet for the synchronous meetings, and they will change from module to module because we have different people teaching them, and it depends on their schedule as well. We do try to put them in such a way that most people will have access to them without having to wake up at 2 in the morning. But yeah, like I said, we have people from different parts of the world, so we don't always manage to do that.
And a similar one from Julia. So if you'll not be able to attend the live session, will that also be recorded?
I'm not sure. I think this is something we're still discussing. On the one hand, we wouldn't want to record them because we want people to come and discuss. So I think this depends from module to module. We do try to encourage people to come. Again, I don't think they're mandatory, so you could do the program without it, but I think you would be missing out this opportunity to talk to your colleagues and with the professor, a little bit like a seminar or an office hour. So I think
that the discussion board, I think there's discussion boards and such, isn't there? So that the information will, what's the important stuff will be communicated to you.
Yeah, and there are, like I said, there are other opportunities. So for example, if you can't make that and you want to talk to a professor, you can email them and they would have office hours. So you can set up a separate meeting to discuss with the professor. We also have something called the help desk. So if you need help with programming or statistics, there's a separate email where we have some researchers or PhD students that can support you. So there are other opportunities. So if you miss that meeting or if you need support and those times don't work for you, there are other ways in which you can get help.
Thank you. There's a question about, will we be learning coding?
Yes, a lot of coding. So like I said, we actually start with coding. This module in programming with R, we developed it just for this distance learning program because we think this is a really important skill. And then everything you do, assignments and so on, will be applied with real data. So you need to clean data, analyze it, visualize it, create reports. And also you'll learn some really cool things. So how to do dynamic reports where you can create PDFs and Word documents and presentations directly from R, and they could change dynamically based on the data you have. So yeah, there'll be a lot of programming. We'll cover, again, you don't need to know it. We'll cover it from basic to more advanced things. But given that this is a key skill, you'll be doing it continuously, from the start until the dissertation.
That leads on to the next question, which I think is amazing. Can I become a data scientist using this course?
Yes, I mean, it's kind of interesting because there are different definitions for data scientists. So it depends a little bit who you ask, what is a data scientist, and lots of people are kind of rebranding themselves for to say they're data scientists. The way I think about it is, again, there are some core skills that you need to know. And if you have those skills, then you can adapt because each organization, each task might be slightly different. You might need to do something else. But if you have these core skills, you are, I would say, prepared to deal with more issues. And those skills would be programming, which, like I said, we cover a lot. You need to know statistics and machine learning, and we cover those as well. And then you need to be able to write and communicate your results. And you'll write through your assignments in your dissertation, you'll get lots of practice in how to communicate results. So I think we cover, those key skills that I think most people would agree those are the things you need as a data scientist. That being said, there might be, so let's say you go to a company and there they use Python instead of R. My argument is, well, if you know the statistics and you already are very good in programming in one software, it's very easy to translate that to a new software. So as long as you have these building blocks, or if they use a different type of statistical method, even if we didn't cover it, because you learn so many and you have the basics, you can pick up a new statistical skill much easier. So I think we cover the basics to say that you're a data scientist, even if, like I said, people might have different definitions of that.
Great. And Phoebe sent in a message. Will we learn to use GitHub to upload some of the work we do on the program?
Yes, yeah. So part of, again, in the R course, part of that will be, reproducible research and how to use Git and GitHub to store your data, version control, and things like that. So yeah, we'll cover some of those skills as well.
Wonderful. Oh, I like this one. Do you have any advice, Alex, for students willing to what's your advice for study on this program to get ahead?
Yeah, like I said, so if you're kind of anxious or you want to prepare, there's two books I think we recommend. So one is R for Data Science, which is free, available online, and there's another book by Agresti, which is kind of an introduction to statistics for social scientists. I think these are the key skills. So if you want to start preparing, you can look at those kind of books to just be prepared, and it will be a little easier when we start to do the modules. The other thing I say, try to put time aside. So we say, it might take 20 hours, but life happens. So some things might happen each week. And also sometimes it might take longer to do an assignment than you think. So just try to make sure that you have things set up, that you have some time put aside to work on this. Try to protect that time as much as possible. Try to kind of have it consistently, I don't know, in the morning or the evening, have a few hours when you work on this. And yeah, try to get the support from the people in your life and say, make clear, okay, I need this time, I need to work on this. I think, distance learning and learning on your own can be quite difficult. So you need to manage it very well. So you need to put time aside, have support from other people on it. So those would be my recommendation. Just protect that time, put it in the calendar in advance. And if you have time, try to read up on some of the skills that you're going to use.
Wonderful. And Miriam, lovely. Thank you for posting in. Yeah, I saw your email this morning. I forwarded it to admissions. It shouldn't be a problem for them to upload some stuff for you. But yeah, thanks very much for that. People are asking about details on scholarships. Now, I'd point you back towards the new finance resource hub that we put on the chat earlier. There are country-specific scholarships available, and I would keep checking back those pages because they are updated regularly as well. And I'm just looking at the other questions we have. And yeah, how are the assessment? Oh no, we've already done that. How they're assessed. Yeah. Oh, and is there an option for this degree to get a postgraduate diploma instead of just the master's? But yeah, that is a route we facilitate as well, isn't it, Alexandru? Is that just the taught units minus the final research project?
Yeah, so if you do all the modules except research skills in practice and the dissertation, you can get the diploma. if you do the dissertation and that final module, you can get a full master's. And I say just think what is the reason for which you are taking the degree. So the diploma might be useful if you just want the skills, and maybe the master's degree or the dissertation is not that important. Alternatively, you can do the full thing and get a master. So just try to think, okay, why are you doing this program? What are the main things you want to get out of it, and then decide which of those routes is better for you.
And Somayat, Roy, thank you for posting in. I think Alex might have already answered that about how many graded assignments. I don't think you can say because each unit has a different unit lead, and so they have a different spread of assessment criteria.
Yeah.
Or do you have an idea?
So I think when we set it up, we do try to have at least 2 assignments for each course, like different assignments. There are some that might have 3. And then, like I said, there are some that are not graded. So we have quizzes every week, and some might have some other activities that are not graded, plus the 2 or 3. I think most of them would have some 2 or 3 graded assignments.
Thank you. And your second question is, will there be any coverage of Bayesian modeling?
Bayesian
modeling and neural network models?
No, so we're not covering that yet. So there's some overlap. The multi-level modeling and Bayesian statistics, there's some overlap there. And I think if you know multi-level modeling, it's easier to learn Bayesian statistics after. And neural networks, again, we only mention it a little bit in the data science modeling currently, but that's something we're looking into, kind of creating more content. So currently we don't cover a lot of that, but that might be something we might have in the future.
Thank you. And 2 more questions, and then I will have to draw it to a close, I'm afraid. There's some questions about, can we pay by modules? I'm afraid at this moment in time, that's not something we can facilitate, but you do have the option to pay by installments. So you can break up the payments, paying a deposit on registration, and then they like to take payments in February and May. So over the 2-year period, you can split that into 6 payments. However, that is something that you will be in touch with tuition fees and the finance team at student registration at that final point. And from Sarah, is it possible to get the diploma and then do the dissertation after a period of time? I believe that's something that you can enroll on the PD diploma, complete the taught units, and then you, if subject to satisfactory grades, you could go on to do the final dissertation project. Is that correct?
Yeah, from what I know, you can do that. You can initially register for the diploma. Once you get everything, if you decide to switch to master's, you can do that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. So we will, thank you very much for joining us. We're bringing this part to the close, but feel free to stay in line if you do want to join us for a little meet and greet. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.